been, for our standard opens, probably the most popular deck in the majority of day 2s. Also made the finals of Grand Prix Memphis in the hands of Ben Stark. He moved up to a full 4 copies of Outpost Siege. Andrew only playing 2 copies, but the elements are still there. A lot of red removal, backed up by Chain of the Rocks, and just a quality curve of creatures.
All right, well, we are underway. This is game 3 between the two of them. It means they will be sideboarded. Glare of Heresy is likely to come in on both sides of the board. Andrew's on the play, however. He starts out with a turn 2 Seeker of the Way as the first creature here.
And a problem for Aaron in this matchup is just his mana. You know, he's got a lot of Pain lands, a lot of copies of Mana Confluence, and those extra points of damage against a deck with Stoke the Flames and so forth can really add up.
Yeah, well, he does have a 2-drop to trade with the Seeker right now. It's going to be Heir of the Wilds on his side. You're absolutely right, though. I'm not sure Aaron has all of his colors put together right now. He may be light on lands. We'll see if he gets punished for it. Back over on Winslow's side, he does have removal, it looks like, for the Heir. Soulfire Grandmaster and Lightning Strike among his options.
Now, Aaron, you know, by his standards, kind of coloring inside the lines this weekend. Really only a 3-color deck.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Only 3 colors. That said, though, the color events are still very high, and you see that a lot of times in Knobs on aggro. Fleece Mainline and Rakshasa Death Dealer.
And that Gather Courage is exactly the exchange I was talking about there. That's Andrew's 3rd turn.
Yeah, Lightning Strike on the Heir of the Wilds, hope to kill it, but Gather Courage saves it. Still, though, 3 lifelink comes across. But a great exchange for Aaron, especially when you consider that he didn't have, he's light on lands this game.
It's very hard in beatdown mirror matches, or it can be very hard, to catch up when you're on the draw. And that play right there from Aaron is now allowing him to catch up on the draw.
Yeah, Gather Courage to save his Heir, untaps. Does draw Sandstep Citadel for the turn, so he has land 3, plays a 2nd copy of Heir of the Wilds. And now just opts not to attack. He'll go ahead and pass. It seems like he wants to settle into a trade and control game.
Exactly. He doesn't want to take another hit here because if he attacks back and Andrew plays a spell to remove the untapped Heir, well, the damage that the initial Heir dealt isn't really worth very much because of the lifelink. So I think that it's fine to hold back on defense, both to preserve Aaron's life total and because specifically the threat Seeker of the Way, not really conducive to Aaron trying to damage race.
And look at Aaron, it does have some larger cards to set up for. It looks like he has a Llanowar Wastes and a Sorin Solemn Visitor in hand. Seeker of the Way trades away with one of the heirs, and Andrew has a replacement Seeker. Andrew with no 4th land himself. No on Aaron's side. Draw for the turn was Sandstep Citadel, so he has 2 lands and a Sorin. 1 other spell, I believe.
Little light on action.
Yeah, well, he's going to need to get some mileage out of that Sorin then, if he's light on action, I would think. Just play Sandstep Citadel and passes.
Again, not in a position to really damage race, so just trying to play as much defense as possible. Hope that he can deploy Sorin on a stable board and go from there.
Yeah, it looks like his last card is a one-of copy of Murderous Cut. And this may be seeing whether it's put to the test. Andrew will taps out for Goblin Rabblemaster. Aaron does have enough mana to cast Murderous Cut, and he'll do just that. Takes down the Goblin.
I believe that was actually a copy of Bioblight.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he took a point off the Caves of Quellos and...
Right. And we see Sorin Solemn Visitor not well set up by Aaron. He then trades away the Seeker with the Heir of the Wilds and then sets up a empty board where we can play Sorin -2 onto it.
There's no guarantee this is good enough to win the game. You know, at the end of the day, it's just a 2/2 flyer if Aaron can remove the Sorin. But this is really the best of what Aaron's hand allowed him to do.
Yeah, I mean, it does. He's going to get 2 cards for the Sorin. Very few ways in Andrew's deck to just simply kill Sorin with haste this turn. So you'd likely have to spend a spell doing it or give Aaron a 2nd activation. And we see that. 3rd Seeker of the Way for Andrew.
And now a Siege Rhino off the top for Aaron, and this is a great turn.
I mean, Siege Rhino basic is one of the best reasons to play Obzon really in any form, whether it's mid-range, control, or aggro.
Well, it allows him to play it, which is already good. And then it's a great blocker to protect Sorin. I think Aaron this turn will likely play the Siege Rhino plus the Sorin. That moves up to 3. Attack for 3 points of lifelink with the token. And then have a pretty well-protected Sorin.
Looks like that'll be just it. So Siege Rhino is the play. So life totals will be evened up at 19 as it drains for 3.
Now, the problem with the line of play that I suggested was that if Andrew has Chain to the Rocks, then Soren's dead, your Siege Rhino's dead, and you don't have a lot going on.
So the question, I guess, is whether or not Aaron sends the Vampire token.
Yeah.
Aaron's last card, Land War Wastes. So what's on the table is what you see is what he has. And yeah, does not want to get Chained to the Rocks out. He pluses Thorn, but leaves both creatures back to defend.
Very conservative line of play.
Yeah, this is the second time we've seen Aaron opt for pretty conservative lines here. In this matchup, do you feel like, is he the slower deck of the two? They are both aggro.
Well, I think the thing here is that Aaron needs time to draw out of this because I think he suspects Andrew's hand is just spells, and if he tries to play a short game, the fact that Aaron has nothing going on and Andrew probably has gas means that Aaron's doomed. So I think he's just trying to err on the side of caution to just give himself more draw steps to find something of substance. He's got a lot of power in his deck, so it's just an issue of finding it, you know?
Yeah, I remember Andrew with a fair number of ways to get rid of that Siege Rhino. You talked about Chained to the Rocks. He also plays cards like Valorous Stance. I'll see if he has any of those answers. It looks like it's Glare of Heresy out of the sideboard. And we'll see which one he goes at. He'll actually Glare the Sorin.
Okay.
And then play Soulfire Grandmaster and pass it back. A lot of lifelink on Andrew's side of the board. And for Aaron, that's the activated ability on Soulfire Grandmaster eventually does become a concern. He can't kill
we're
it.
hitting there now. If Andrew has another land, for example, he starts getting access to Wild Slash with buyback, which is great in the spot, can take care of the Vampire token, and maybe set you up for Secret of the Way to start making some attacks.
Yeah, the scary part for Aaron is that you see right now he's swung with the Vampire token is that because of the lifelink on Andrew's side of the board, Aaron can't really swing Siege Rhino, and he's only dealing 2 damage a turn. So Andrew goes to 17 that turn, but that's a long ways away from a point where Andrew needs to be concerned.
Exactly, yeah. The lifelink here gives Andrew a lot of flexibility in trying to set up Soulfire Grandmaster or just playing, you know, he can be pretty fluid with his game plan here. If he wants to go on the aggressive, he can, and if he wants to just settle back and let Soulfire Grandmaster do its thing, he has access to that line of play as well.
Yeah. Another creature added to the board for Andrew. This time it's Goblin Rabblemaster. Makes a token. Token will swing. We'll see if anybody else joins in. And yeah, Andrew's going to go ahead and send the team. Well, Soulfire, Aaron recognizing, I think, the laking potential Soulfire Grandmaster, he's going to try to take that out with Siege Rhino. This is a very aggressive attack from Andrew.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan here is from Andrew's side, as he's in a great position to just set up a powerful board. I don't mind playing the Rabblemaster and just swinging with the token. I just don't think there's a lot to be gained by making an Alpha Strike at this stage.
Well, 3 damage will come across. That'll put Aaron down to 16, but Soulfire Grandmaster will hit the graveyard there. Andrew will gain 3, or rather gain 2. And yeah, no follow-up play. That seems like a very expensive 3 damage he just dealt.
And now Andrew can sit back, Aaron, can sit back with both of his creatures, which is what he does here, and say, all right, well, if you want to make that kind of attack, I'll really set up on defense, make that hard to do. This is a spot where if Andrew has Chain of the Rocks, though, it's still gravy. It's still super good for him.
So back over to Andrew. So Seeker of the Way, Goblin Rabblemaster, and Goblin token on Andrew's side. He has 19 life. Aaron Barich, 16, with just a Siege Rhino and Vampire token. Siege Rhino currently holding the fort down. None of Andrew's creatures can swing through it. But Andrew has so many more creatures that Aaron is just pretty conservative here, not even swinging with the Vampire. You see another Goblin made by Rabblemaster, and Seeker of the Way and Rabblemaster will both attack.
Well, I think this block's pretty straightforward here. Let's see what trick you have. Maybe he loses one of the creatures, but it's unlikely he loses both.
Yeah, Vampire is in front of the Goblin token, Rhino in front of Seeker of the Way, and Andrew's willing to try the 2-for-1 to get rid of Siege Rhino. He'll Wild Slash the Siege Rhino. That prowesses the Seeker to a 3/3. That will get 5 damage onto the Siege Rhino. Andrew gains 3. But the Goblin goes down, the Seeker goes down, Wild Slash out of Andrew's hand, and all of that just for the Siege Rhino.
Yep. And now Aaron with access to a lot of good draws. If he picks up a kill spell for the Rabblemaster, that's great. Any of his large threats, particularly Siege Rhino, they're going to be really good here.
Yeah, he does even play 1 copy of Tasigur the Golden Fang in his deck.
Yeah, so a lot of huge draws. A little bit behind on the board right now, a little bit behind in the damage race, but he can make it up very easily.
Right now, Goblin Token's just attacking into Aaron's creatures, and it is Bile-Blight from Aaron. So now Goblin Rabblemaster is off the board. 2-2 staring at a 1-1. Aaron can decide to push this race if he wants to. We'll see if he still stays with his conservative lines or whether he starts trading damage. It looks like answer's no. He'll just continue to stay even. Draws Abzan Charm for the turn.
And that's one of those big draws. I would imagine this is going to be the draw 2 mode. He's got enough life to play with here. Board looks stable enough to do this.
Yeah, we'll go down to 13 and draws 2. It's another land and an Abzan Charm.
I mean, not great, but Aaron still can do the same thing here. Right back. He'll probably hold off for 1 turn in case some big threat comes up that he wants to use the Abzan Charm on, but...
Sure, and I mean, out of red-white aggro, there aren't that many creatures that you can actually exile with it.
No, not a lot. There's some copies of Burnaz. It's a short list, but he probably doesn't find a follow-up play here with the Abzan Charm if he draws 2, so might as well.
And here's a dangerous one, though. Stormbreath Dragon on Andrew Winslow's side. That's a creature with power 3 or greater, but it also has protection from white, so Abzan Charm won't be much help. Aaron can block and put 1/1 counters on his vampire to trade here. And we'll see if he does that. It looks like he's going to go down to 11 off fetch lands. That suggests he's going to draw cards, I think.
Yep.
Wants to get these lands out of his deck. He's playing with a lot of fire, though. That's a lot of life points to get rid of.
It's true, but he still has some big draws that he can pick up here.
Yeah, so Abzan Charm puts 2 counters on the Vampire, and Vampire will trade with Stormbreath Dragon.
And I thought that Andrew's attack there with the token was a little bit aggressive, but against Abzan Charm, it was actually a free point of damage.
Exactly. Draw for the turn from Aaron is Glare of Heresy. He's currently at 10. Now 9 from the Goblin token. 2 cards in Andrew's hand. Aaron has done a great job of getting free resources, but he is still right now at 9 lands to 5. He just seems to be getting bullied by the fact that Andrew has drawn more spells.
Pretty much, yeah. Now Aaron's hand, Glare of Heresy and Gather Courage. Nothing to be done with either of them.
Yeah, there are a couple cards in Aaron's deck that can really capitalize on this wealth of lands. Rakshas the Death Dealer and Tassiger the Golden Fang come to mind.
Yeah, but these chip shots that are taken from the token against red-white aggro would Stoke the Flames and Lightning Strike.
Yeah, he can't be happy about that. Down to 7, Aaron, another land draw. He'll just keep passing this. This Goblin, Aaron was at 11. It's chipping one at a time. Down to 6. Now, Andrew hasn't drawn much either, to be fair. And Aaron finally with a creature. It's Anafenza the Foremost. He'll go ahead and play that. That'll be a blocker. He does have Glare and Gather Courage to possibly protect it. We'll see if Andrew has had a copy of Chain to the Rocks or if it's just burn spells. And right now, nothing. He'll pass back the turn. Maybe Aaron has stabilized. And that the second copy of Anafenza, the next draw. It's just what he wants to see.
Perfect. I mean, he gets to play a little offense, defense for 1 turn, you know?
I'll give it. 3 mana, discard a card. Give target creature Vigilance till end of turn.
Yep. It's actually better than the other cards that are in his hand right now, so.
You can see it on Aaron's face. He's not. Just passes back. He can't really attack here without having a blocker. And now this will be problematic. Looks like Hordling Outburst was the draw from Andrew.
That's really bad news here. Aaron's hand not really equipped to handle tokens. And
both his copies of Bile-Blight have already been cast this game.
Yeah. These tokens might allow Andrew to crawl across the finish line even if he doesn't have any more action.
Aaron Sandstep Citadel the draw. He has really just been missing that some action on these draws.
Yeah, I mean, any of his big draws would have been good here, but Stormbreath Dragon required too much of Aaron's resources, and now...
yeah, he would have loved to have had the freedom to draw 2 off that Abzan Charm.
Yeah.
And 4 tokens in play. They're going to swing. 1 goes into the Anafenza. 3 come across. Aaron down to 3. And no lethal burn spell just yet.
This is excruciating, too, because Andrew hasn't killed him. I'm sure Aaron can't believe he's still alive and draws yet another land.
I mean, if you look at it, these goblins will deal 2 and then 1 over the next 2 turns. Aaron goes down to 1. We see that here. Another draw. It's another copy of Glare of Heresy. And... that's going to be it. This swing will just be lethal. Yeah, talk about crawling across the finish line.
Yep. Just barely makes it.
Not an impressive draw for either of them. And Aaron's going to go ahead and he'll go out in style. He'll pump Andrews unblocked 1-1. And there you have it. Andrew Winslow takes game 3 over Aaron Barich.
Yeah, it's just couldn't find a good piece of action there. That's all it was. Had a lot of draw steps to find it, but could not find something like Siege Rhino or even a Nana Fenza earlier on in the game would have been a big deal.
And I mean, and when you talk about draws, though, you have to look at Andrew. It's not like he drew anything either, as far as we could tell. It was that one goblin just went the distance.
I'm surprised the game went on for as long as it did.
Yeah, so red-white aggro 2-1, the winner over Aaron Barich's Obzon aggro. And